Okay. Okay. Likkutei Pinchas 150, second column is base. Okay, the Rabbi was discussing why in Olam Hazeh you could do tshuva, you could do mitzvahs in this world, and Olam Haba it's too late. It is what it is. So the Rabbi explained Olam Haba is Mamala Kol Almin. Mamala Kol Almin basically means already it's identified, it's set. It's like once the baby is formed, you can't daven anymore, it should be a male or female. But this world is a world of Seviv Kol Almin. It's unidentified, it's not established yet, and therefore things could change. You can do mitzvahs, and you can, God forbid, sin, but then you could do tshuva. You could change things back and forth because there is no top and bottom. So he says in base, second column, When you tshuva, that's the whole union of tshuva. To return the chayis of Hashem, the existence of it, the life of Hashem that came all the way down, back to its origin, because the end is wedged in the beginning. Meaning, the lower it is down here, it shows it originates in a higher place. If it originates in a higher place, then it comes down very low, and then you're able to elevate it. Because this, that it comes down, is because of Mamala Kol Almin Shenimshach Midas Malchus Yisbarach. Malchus Kol Elamim. Okay. That causes the descent of the levels of the worlds from level to level. The lower something falls means, by definition, Elokus is falling lower and lower. Something that evil that falls very low is because Elokus is falling very low. Because the only thing where Hashem could rest, what's the vessel for Elokus, like we learned before, that's the level of bittul. Therefore, Atzilis is the world of ultimate bittul, like we said, Eitzel. And from there it goes down to Bria. Because then the bittul of Bria is not at all on the same level as the bittul of Atzilis. Why? Because Bria by definition becomes yesh miyayin. It's already a yesh. It's not completely bottle. Atzilis is the level of complete bittul. But Bria already, even Bria is a level of yesh miyayin. So it can't be in the same level of bittul. So what's the purpose of Elokus coming so down, so low? The madregas the kedushas, but madregas atachtein the asiyah. And what's the ultimate level? He says that's the union of kriya b'meidim, bowing by meidim. He doesn't mean literally bowing by meidim. The concept of bowing, which is complete bittul. Shazeh Amir Azal. He says, a person, the Gemara says in Brachas like this, a person doesn't bow by Meidim, meaning, what do you mean you don't bow by Meidim? The Gemara's expression like this, whoever doesn't bow to Meidim becomes a snake. That is a nachash. Okay? What, now, it's a funny expression. You don't bow by Meidim, say like you become a snake. What's the connection? So it's very simple. If you don't have bittul of meidim, meaning you submit meidim, like meida'ani, you submit completely to Hashem, then you become nachash with the original sin. The original klip in the world came from the nachash. It doesn't say you become an elephant and it becomes a tiger. It's the concept you become nachash. Why? The Zayah Amir and the Zayah says even more, the lo yokum b'tchias ha-mesim. The Zayah says even more, you won't even get up by tchias ha-mesim. Now, Rebbe Tanya says about the Caliph Elokus, he says, whether Beimi Shu Batul Etzli Yisbarach, or every Jew has the Kerech and the Yechelis. The fact that we have the ability that we could be Batul, that itself is a bittul. This is what Rebbe says many places in Tanya. or Mishi Bekaya B'Yechel to be bottled, it has that mile of bittul. It says in the Pasuk, its feet go down into death, meaning that refers to evil. It comes, evil comes, I mean that level of Kedusha, that's an evil. Comes down, comes into the level of Klipas Neiga, and even lower. Mi Klipas Neiga, meaning Shosh Klipas Atmeyes, Shemisham Nimshech V'nishpash Boz Gashmis V'Kayachara. And that's where evil comes from. Where does evil sustain itself from? From the level of Elokus that comes down into the world. Therefore, what's the inyan of tshuva? Tshuva, like you said before, is returning that chayis of Elokus that went all the way down back to where it came from. But as the Alter Rebbe will explain, that it's not only where it came from, because then why does it bother coming down to begin with? You don't knock down a house to put up the same house. So why does Elokus come down all the way and, so to speak, destroying Elokus by making it come down to Kalipa? Because through tshuva, obviously, goes higher than it was before. The koyach tshuva, which is ha'ara, b'china seva kol almin, yashav la mekayes m'kerev v'sharshim, v'no'etz tchilasim v'seifan, which is even the letter of his hapcha chashechan naheda. 1 second. Okay, what's up? What?
I had a question.
What?
At the beginning, you talked about almost this world being the place where you could do tshuva.
Yeah.
Olam haba, you can't.
Right.
But if an neshama didn't do tshuva and it went to Gehenna and it was punished and then it gets out, isn't that a form of tshuva?
No, it's a form of cleansing.
What if
Tshuva is cleansing. Now, if you don't do tshuva, then you got to go through a different method of cleaning. You have to have dry cleaning in Gehenna.
But it accomplishes the same thing in the end?
No, tshuva accomplishes greater because tshuva you did. You know, they give a mashal. There's a chicken laying in the sand, and there's 1,000,000 kernels of sand on the chicken. Yeah, and you want to take it off. So it's going to take you hours. Go kernel by kernel. You know. All of a sudden, when the chicken wants, it gives a flip the wings, and everything's cleaned in 1 second. Would take, because when the person himself does tshuva, it's like that. But then it's the person doing it, not I was. In other words, what's the difference of staying clean versus okay, you get dirty, you go to the cleaners? It's not the same avodah. So staying clean is much better than getting dirty and going to the cleaners. Because this is the avodah that the Jew does. Okay, skip the parentheses. First, before you have his transformation of evil, first you need the level of iskafia. Shahav is dvarim zarim bepil. That the love of foreign things should be in a way of breaking yourself not to want it. Leisesuru. Ach ashetam zainim, that you're turning afterwards. Zainim mikra shalib elohad. What is zain? Ashetam zainim achareim. That you're really going after. He says the word zainim, not a zaina. Zainim is a person is libe lohot achad dvarim zorim. His soul, meaning his desire, is running after evil things. Afilu and yonei guf atzrichim, and he says like this. Even bodily functions that we do need. You need to eat and sleep and all everything else. Lo yeh bislav is vislatis halev. It shouldn't be with the excitement, enthusiasm, and burning of the heart. Rak bekridus. It should be done coldly. Kilu kaf, like the Gemara says about marital relations, the person should feel that it's like he's forced to do it by a demon. In other words, a person, what's his skafia? He says, because l'chayra, what is skafia? I have to eat. You know, I'm talking about it. Because even kosher food is klipas noiga. It's still klipas, not kedusha, until you eat it. But so he says, the person should realize, why am I eating? Because I need to eat. I need to live. You don't live to eat. You eat to live. Like the story with Ivan and Rabbi Rashab. So the person needs to understand that's the breaking evil. Breaking evil doesn't mean fasting. Breaking evil means when I eat, I understand ultimately, that doesn't mean you have to hate the food. But it means ultimately, why am I eating? I'm eating to be able to be healthy.
Some people have some kind of tablet to food, to whatever.
People have different types for different things.
And it's so strong, it's beyond understanding.
So we learned already. Why did, it says in Musa Svarim, why is it that Ibishter made certain desires very, very powerful? Sexual desires, eating desires. Why did Ibishter make them so... Money desire. Why did Ibishter make it so powerful? And the answer is, because if people wouldn't have a desire to eat, then they wouldn't eat. Then all these sparks of Kedusha that need to be elevated are not going to be elevated. How does Hashem, the whole purpose of creation, did it with Tachtainim, to elevate the sparks of tail that fell down, the whole thing we learned 1,000,000 times. So if a guy's not in the mood of eating, he has no desire to eat, he's not going to eat.
Right?
So why did Eibishter make it so strong? The desire for eating, because we have to elevate the sparks. But like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, when Hillel went to eat, he said, I'm going to ligmel chesri mo aluva. I'm going, Nebuch, he told the students, I have to go give to chesed a little bit to my body. I have to throw him a bone. You know, he should eat also a little bit. But that's the whole thing. And the same thing, if there's no taiva in sexual issues, a person won't reproduce. So then you won't have it either. And this desire that of worldly things that is in the heart, to be only for Hashem, like it says, after the sin, what did Hashem tell Chava? Vel ishech chukosech. Your desire will be to your husband. What does that mean in a spiritual sense? Hashem's the husband, Knesset Yisrael, the Jews are the wife. What happened because of the sin? Well, ishech chukosech, there's going to be a desire of the Jews to become close to Hashem by elevating sparks. Therefore it says, why was Chava called Isha? Because she came from Ish. But what does Isha mean? Eish, Ehei. The fire of Ehei. Meaning, Kimi Ish lo kocha zeis. Eish Yud. The pasuk says like this. Why did Hashem call Chava Isha? It says because she came from Ish. Kimi Ish lo kocha zeis. So Isha is Eish Hei. Okay? Ish is Eish Yud. What does that mean? Because the level of Isha is Eish Hei, returning the letter Hei, which was taken from the Yud, so to speak, to bring me back to Kedusha. And that comes from the level of Malchus. Right? So it says, we say in Baruch Shammai, Yachid is a level of Yachid, and from Yachid becomes Chei Elamim, the life of the world. And he says, Pirish Yachid Ulevadi is Baruch, the way the Eibishter is by himself, there is no world. V'chei Elamim hu Melech. Shekol Chayes Elam is Ein Lebechinas Malchus. What do we say in Baruch Shammai? We say simply, God, you're alone. Chei Elamim Melech. You're the life of the world, the king, Meshubach and Farah, Adayad, you praised and everything. Now the Rebbe says what it means like this. Yachid, really Hashem is Yachid. Chei Elamim. If Hashem is Yachid, where does life of the world come from? If Hashem is Yachid, there's no world. So where does the world come from? What's Chei Elamim? From the world of Malchus, Melech. Because Hashem limits himself into Malchus, Dibur, the lowest level of this, so that becomes the highest of the world. So then we say like this. What is praised? Shmei HaGadol, his great name. That we can praise because you can only praise something you know something about. But the essence, Mashenke Tshuva Maisim Tevim, becomes Seviv Kolalmin, which is even higher than Shmei HaGadol. Even higher than the essence of Hashem. Okay? It says like this.
I'm sorry, what is the great?
Oh, I'm going to tell you in a second. We say in davening, there was a daven that already said it, Yahalulu Hashem Hashem, praise the name of Hashem, Ki nizgav shmei levadei, his name is remote, singularly, alone, Haidei al eretz hashamayim, his ray is in heaven and earth.
Nizgav is exalted.
What?
Nizgav is exalted.
Yeah, exalted, praise, Meshubach, both things. So Chassidus explains like this. Yahalu Hashem Hashem ki nizgav shmei levadei. The name of Hashem has to be praised because it's exalted from the world. Shmei HaGadol refers to the level of Seviv Kolalnu. Then it says, Haidei doesn't mean a ray of Hashem. It means the ray of Shmei HaGadol is Al Eretz HaShamayim. Meaning, Yahalu Shem Hashem, Shem Hashem is the level of Seviv. Haidei, Mamale, a ray, Gan Eden, the ray of his name is Al Eretz HaShamayim. But through tshuva, you come to Vayarin Keren La'amei. Keren is the horn, which is even on top of the head. Keser. Keren is like the crown. So that's the avodah of the Jew, like he says. And that's what happens by tshuva. Tshuva, you reach a level that all these things can't reach. Torah mitzvahs can't reach it.
Where is that pasuk?
What? Yalu Shem Hashem Kin Dalukas.
Isn't that how you look at it?
Yeah. They say it every day.
So you sing it? You sing it.
I am.
2 paragraphs before Baruch Hashem Le'elam Amen V'Amen. V'zeh Shuva Yisrael Hashem Alekecha. And that's what the pasuk says. Yin should do tshuva ad Hashem Alekecha. Now grammatically, anybody knows any Hebrew, you return to God. Now how do you say to le? The pasuk should say Shuva Yisrael le Hashem Alekecha. Return to God. It doesn't say Shuva Yisrael le Hashem Alekecha. It says ad until Hashem Alekecha. What do you mean? Return until Hashem Alekecha. It doesn't make sense. So the Alter Rebbe explains it does make sense. What is the level of tshuva? Ad until Havaya becomes Alekecha. That's what the pasuk is saying. The pasuk is not saying do tshuva to God, because then it would say Shuva Yisrael le Hashem Alekecha.
The hodu that we sing in the very beginning of davening, that word, and the hodu kinskav shemo levado, the meaning is 2 different things.
No, Odol Hashem Kiru V'Shmei, same thing, Shmei. But there's a level of Shmei. That's why you have a regular Shem of Hashem. That's Mamala. Shmei HaGadol is Seviv.
So Rabbi, that pasuk Yahalu and Shem Hashem, that's Atzmos, you said?
No.
No?
Yahalu Hashem Hashem ki nizgav Shmei Levadei. Praise the name of Hashem. That's removed from the word. Seviv Kol Alma. Haidei, a ray of, not a ray of Hashem, a ray of his name is in heaven and earth. That's Mamala. But through the Aveda, it becomes Vayarim Keren La'ameh, he becomes the level of higher than the head, higher than Seichel, higher than Chochmah, higher than...
So over here it means ray of Hashem. In the beginning of davening it means hodu, right?
But Shmei is a ray, but you have Shmei HaGadol, and then even Seviv is a ray. Tshuva reaches higher than Seviv. That's what he explained before. This world is Seviv. Olam Haba is Mamala. Tshuva reaches higher than both together.
Because it reaches Havaya Alekecha.
It makes Havaya Elokecha. It makes that Havaya becomes Elokecha. Now, how can you combine Havaya, infinite, with Elokecha with limitation? That's to the level of Keren La'ameh, the level of the essence. So tshuva reaches the essence, and that level of essence, like we learned, good and bad are really the same. So therefore, you can make good into bad and bad into good. Well, hopefully bad into good. That's the concept of tshuva. Tshuva reaches a level, and that's why you can't do it in Mamala Kol Almin, in Olam Haba.
The very first word in davening is
Heidul Hashem.
What does that hodu mean? Is thank?
No, it's a turkey.
It's hodu. It's a hodu.
Thank you.
It's a modim.
Thank
right?
you.
It's a thank you.
Yeah.
But over there, we stop.
But there's a lot of different levels of Haid. There's a Meidani, there's Chassidus explains. There's a Meidani, there's Haidul Hashem. Then you have different Haidos. There are different stages of Haidul. So he says, Shuva Yisada Vaila Kach Shatoshev Kol Kacha Shetei Erding Sova Seviv Kol Almin, that the infinite level of Elokus. Like it's the same thing. What do we say? Anechi Havaya Elokecha. From Anechi, you can Havaya, you could become Elokecha. Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu. Through the level of Atah, you can have Havaya Elokeinu. Well, then, after Es Hashem Elokecha, that's the same thing. After, you should love God to such an extent that Havaya becomes Elokecha. How?
It permeates you.
Number one, by coming to Minyan every day.
On time.
Secondly, by coming to Chassidus on time. And that you have to say Hashem Elokecha, you ask for it, you got it. Toyota. How do you get to V'yahavta? Now, how do you get to V'yahavta say Hashem Elokecha? That comes from this Bein of the Senechot. Remember, we learned many times, the Maggid asked the famous question, how can I command somebody to love? It's a midah. I can tell you to do something you don't want to do. I can tell you eat broccoli even if you don't like it. But I can't tell you love broccoli. If you don't love it, what do you do? I can't command somebody on a feeling. So the Maggid answers that the mitzvah is not V'yahavta Hashem Elokecha. The mitzvah Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. By meditating into the level of Echad, the seven heavens, earth, everything is bottled to Hashem. The Maggid says V'yahavta in Hebrew doesn't only mean you should love. V'yahavta means you will love. So the level V'yahavta to love Hashem to such an extent that Havaya becomes a Lokecha, that's through this Bein of the Senechot. In a level of Bechinas Elamim of Melech, that's the level of Yichud Tata. That's all the level, by the way, the lower level of Yichud. Okay. Now he says, L'cheira, how can you bring down such a level of Elokus on our low nothing, nobodies? We're low, a body, the Shabbamas and everything. Achkeitz, the Amshochas, Ashras, and of Mamish, Al Nafshi, who are saved, Kolam, the last Machshava, Tvisabay, the Lav Mi Kol Midays. So L'cheira, the question is now, how in the world can we bring down this infinite level of Hashem in our world? He says that's the whole Aved of Korbanos. Remember, the Alter Rebbe asked a question at the beginning of the Maimer. It says, by Korbanos says, Reach Nechayach, good smell. And Rashi calls from the Gemara, from the Medrash, what do you mean a good smell? Nothing smells worse than burnt feathers. It means, Shamarti v'naseh, I told you to do it, and you did it. That's the pleasure Hashem has. So the Alter Rebbe said, but that exists by every mitzvah. Why only by korbanos? What's unique about a korban that creates Hashem happiness that I told you to do it and you did it? You put on tefillin, Hashem told us to do it, we did it also. What's the... So he says, in Ezel, in Hashem, korban ilach milisha. Kinei, what is a korban? He's going to explain the concept of a korban. Kinei, a korban shu mechai. Who you say the Eish. A korban comes from the four categories. Right, an animal is chai, which comes from you say the Eish. He says like this: Kidalid bechinas. It's interesting. The Alter Rebbe says not like this. There's daimim tzemei chai medaber, inanimate plant, animal, and human. There's four elements: fire, air, earth, and water. Each one of these four categories, each one comes from a different element. And he says, Afar is the level of daimim, earth is the level of daimim, inanimate. Mayim, water is tzemeach, plant life. Kamayim matzmichim. And Eish is a level of Chai. Eish is a level of Chai. Why? Because Misharsev Eish Layet, Pnei Ari, Pnei Shosh, Merkava. Chai refers to the Malachim up there, the Chayis of Hashem's throne. Okay, and Ruach is Adam HaMedaber. Okay, so he says like this. The four elements, fire, air, earth, and water. Fire is a level of Chai, because the Malachim have Chai Sakesh Be'esh, the burning. Afar, dirt, is Daimim, inanimate. Mayim is Sameach, because Mayim makes everything grow. And Ruach is Ruach Adam Hi'a'ila L'mayla, the Pasuk says. Ruach is the person that goes up. So therefore he says like this. Korbanis, which is Chai, gets burnt on the Mizbeach. But it gets burnt on the Mizbeach. So he says,
I mean, Chai is subjugated to...
Chai represents the level of fire.
You're saying that then it's going to be put on the altar.
Yeah. So he says, you say the Eish L'mata Shebekarban, Oila V'nichlu Be'eish L'mayla.
It should be ascended, not...
There's a fire in heaven, there's a fire down here. There's a spiritual fire. Even on the Mizbeach. The Gemara says in Yuma, Chassidus brings this down in many places. There's an Eish Yardim and a Shemayim B'mei Shlomo. In the days of Shlomo Melech, it was the Revutza Ka'ari. It was crouched like a lion. There was a fire that came down from heaven that burnt on the Mizbeach. At the same time, there's a mitzvah, Eish Tamid Tukar al Mizbeach L'Sichbeh. There was a mitzvah Lahavi Min HaHedyet. They had to bring earthly fire also. It wasn't enough to have the heavenly fire on the Mizbeach. They also needed the earthly fire on the Mizbeach. Yes? Now, why wasn't one fire enough? You have the godly fire. What do I need earthly fire for? So the answer is fire represents the becoming, when something gets burnt, it becomes part of it, completely consumed. Yeah? So there is the neshama, the part of Hashem that comes from above. But it's not enough to say I'm a Jew because I have a neshama and therefore I'm a Jew, I don't have to do anything. You have to bring this level from below also. So when you brought a korban on the Mizbeach and the korban, the animal, got consumed by burning it on the Mizbeach, that means the fire from down here became incorporated in the fire of above. And that's the way the
fire used to come down and take the korban.
There was a fire on the Mizbeach that was from above. In addition to that, the Jews had to add their own fire. So now you have both fires. The neshama, the help from God that comes above, and then the avodah is, like I said, a Jew has a neshama, that's a gift from above, right? I'm Jewish. Now, do I have to do mitzvahs?
Of course.
Well, God will say, no, I'm a part of God when I need to do mitzvahs. The answer is you have to do it.
But also for the whenever you
I'd like to